Oh my God. Same narrative, different story, boys and girls. Whoever's watching. Another loss for these Philadelphia 76ers. Thank God the season's almost over. Because I can't watch this shit anymore. I really can't. There's nothing to say. You get your big piece back, but, you rest Jimmy Butler. I don't understand. You talk about continuity and this team not playing together all too much, but yet you're resting players. You rested Embiid for 3 games on the road, expecting to beat underwhelming teams, the doormats of the league. Couldn't get that done. You lose 5 of 7 going into the playoffs. I mean, we were so clutch last year on winning 16 straight to take that 3rd seed. Like, we were on fire. And what the big narrative is, what is the missing piece? Lloyd Pierce, guys. Lloyd Pierce is why we won 16 straight last year. We had a less talented team last season to coming into this year, and the only difference is Lloyd Pierce. It's just a disgrace, man. I mean, it's the same shit. Lazy basketball. No defense, no transition defense. They got 30 points on the fast break. They got 22 points off the turnovers, the Bucks did. Antetokounmpo was an absolute beast. And then the point differential between the benches. We got like 18. They had around 36, I believe. They also went to the free throw line 45 times to our 18. Now, what kept us in this game was our ability to hit the long ball tonight. We had 18 threes, which was nice. And we had pretty good ball movement for the most part. It was just the turnovers in crucial times. We only had 13, so it's under our usual, 18 to 20. But it was the point in the games when it happened. Embiid got that big block towards the end of the game, and the ball just sat there. There were 4 Sixers just looking at it. Nobody went after it, and 2 Bucks were able to, in that time, walk over, get the ball, waste some more clock, and then get a nice play going and score. It's a disgrace. There's no defense. There's no nothing. There's no hustle. It's sad. We are crawling, literally, with our fingernails crawling into the playoffs, and that's not what you want to do when you're going into the playoffs. You want to go in hot like we did last year. That's why we got off to a hot start, and we pounded it to the Heat. Well, this year, I don't think it's going to happen. This team is looking like a first-round knockout. No doubt in my mind. This doesn't look like a playoff team. It looks like they look lost at times. There's no continuity, and yet you want to rest players. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't agree with it at all, ever. I don't think you should ever rest players. But if you're going to, at least make sure that you've locked up the 3rd seed and you don't have to worry about it. Boston and Indiana, we couldn't even gain a gain on them if we did win today. So it don't really matter. We just got to pray for some luck. But Boston or Indiana could still take this. If Boston does win out and we lose, they're going to take that 3rd seed because they have the season series. We lost we were 1-3 against the Hawks for the season series. Explain that. Other than Lloyd Pierce is a genius and, shadowed out a lot of Brett Brown's issues. Yeah, but you can't blame it on the refs. The refs may have sucked, but, I mean, where was the continuity? Where was the aggressiveness? I mean, Embiid doesn't play for a week. Of course he's going to be a little rusty. Now, he had an amazing game. He had a triple-double tonight, but still. You don't rest players, especially your best players. You want to do that shit. You shouldn't be able to do that, in my opinion, ever. But if we had that 3rd seed locked out and it didn't really matter, like a week ago, then fine. Rest your guys. Get them ready for the playoffs. But we're not in that position yet. Brett Brown is just content with doing it, and I'm going to get on Brett Brown because he is absolutely the issue. It all starts at the head. He's a freaking idiot. I cannot stand him. He lets players, doesn't hold anybody accountable, can't adjust, make adjustments throughout the game. It's the same shit, different story over and over and over again. There's no continuity. They look lost half the time, offense, defense. Nobody wants to step up. Nobody wants to be a leader. It's garbage. This team's going to get knocked out in the first round. Don't matter who you play. You look at the teams that are hungry, this team isn't hungry. They look great on paper. They expect to come in and win games and expect everything to bail out. They want to leave everything on Embiid. That's why they played a little better tonight, but same story. This team is a joke, and I'm tired of watching them. They're not even exciting to watch. You get all hyped for those trades. You saw what they could have been, and then you rest Jimmy Butler tonight, like I said. Why? You're going up against the best team in basketball. Play them at full strength. You want to get continuity with this team with the starting five? Play them together. Stop resting them. Stop babying Joel Embiid. I mean, saving him for the playoffs. The guy's 25 years old. He was freaking gassed at the end. And that last play where he just stood there and he didn't even attempt to block the shot. They're not going to get in the. They're not getting past the first round, guys. I don't know why everybody thinks we're just going to like magically turn this switch on where, oh, we got Embiid back. We're just going to turn it on. There are still so many flaws to this team that continue to still happen. Exactly. Tobias Harris, and especially in last night's game, he got going. He was hot, and then Brett Brown went away from him. The offense went completely away from him, and then he gets lost. That's why I said before he should come off the bench. You got to take one of these guys and have them come off the bench. You have to have some type of firepower. Now, Mike Scott was amazing tonight, but he's too streaky of a shooter. But switch one of them out. You're going to have somebody that's going to be able to explode for 30 points night in and night out coming off that bench, because the differential between our bench to our opposition bench, they always outscore us by 20-some points, always. We maybe chip in 18 to 20 points, our bench does, to other benches where they're dropping 30, 40, 50 points. And, you know, we rely way too much on the starting five, and it's just, and at the end of this game, too, there was no play drawn up. It's dribble handoff to J.J. Redick. I mean, teams watch tape. They see your flaws, and they're going to execute it. And Brett Brown's inability to call a great defense, you never see any zones to switch anything up. They and you don't double their best player. You let Giannis get his, and then don't let anybody else beat you. Well, when we faced Milwaukee last time, a couple weeks ago, March 17th, I believe it was, Giannis went off for 52, career high. But nobody really affected us, you know, and nobody really else went off on them. Well, that didn't happen tonight, and I think that type of defense is so flawed to where you're just going to let their best player get his. And he fucking completely owned Ben Simmons tonight. Owned him. You have to double team him. You don't think they fire Brett Brown? Well, this city's going to burn if they don't. Let them rest. I'm tired of watching our star players play like bitches. They are bitches. See, I wouldn't have been as mad if it wasn't Giannis and George Hill. Yeah, George Hill killed us tonight by hitting that three. The perimeter defense was not there. And then poor Zaire missing that wide open dunk, dude. Like, why are you looking behind you? Go up and flush that. Throw it down. And, you know, he's getting thrown in a situation. You can't blame it on him. He's a young kid. He's barely gotten any minutes his rookie year. He got dominated tonight. Nah, that Kardashian Kate, that's not real. It's just sad, man. The potential of what this team could be. And they're going to be scrutinized to the fullest now because of the team that was put together. Absolutely. And that Kardashian curse isn't real. One, because she's not a Kardashian. And two, they were like 16-2 when she's in the building. Yeah, Mike Scott's nice. He's streaky, but he's nice. Ben is killing the offense versus good teams. They have 15 feet back. Exactly. Ben hurts our offense more than it helps us. He kills us. With him not having a jumper, all they got to do is clog the paint. And you saw a lot on the offensive sets tonight when Embiid had the ball. Nobody's moving around. Everybody's standing around watching, including Ben. And he's the furthest person. Dude, go down on the block. What are you doing? You're being a spectator. Go down there and get a mismatch. You're 6'10", 240 pounds. I don't understand. When he doesn't have the ball, he's not involved in the game whatsoever. He's just like one of us sitting on the court drinking a beer, you know, eating popcorn. Get your ass involved in the game. Get some movement going. But it's going to continue to happen because our coach lets it happen. He does nothing about it, and he holds nobody accountable. Nobody. And the growth of Ben Simmons is going to be stunted along with our other players until Brett Brown is gone. You see other coaches propel their players to stardom. You've seen it with Giannis this year with Mike Budenholzer. You saw it with Steve Kerr when he got there and Mark Jackson was fired. He was able to propel Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green's games. You know, it just happens. And unfortunately, for the amount of time Brett Brown has been here, yeah, you can't really blame him for the first couple of years because we were going through the process, but now he's a talented team. Last year, okay, 52 wins, whoop-de-doo. You made it to the second round, okay? You always want to make it to the next step. You have to learn from your mistakes. You have to project him and make your players better, but he doesn't do it. You know, all I've ever heard is, oh, Brett Brown is, he's this great, not a provider, I'm trying to think of the word, but he's a great mentor to these players. He knows how to develop players, and look what he did with the Spurs. Well, I don't think that was anything. Of course, my lights just went out. I don't think that was Brett Brown at all. I think that was all Popovich, to be honest. Because I'm not seeing it here. I'm seeing players being stunted being under Brett Brown. Because his inability to do anything right, to call a right defensive play, to call or make an adjustment during the game. Yeah, he does. Embiid hides a lot of the issues, defensive issues, but you see what happens when he's not in there. It overshadows a lot of our inefficiencies because of how great he is, offensively and defensively. But it's flawed, and sometimes your best player isn't going to be in there. But with the team we had, with the teams that we faced, with those 4 All-Stars, there's no reason we should have struggled against Dallas, who didn't even have Luka Doncic, and it was like a D-League team. Why we struggled against Atlanta. I mean, the pick and roll just annihilates us. Annihilates us, and we do nothing to adjust it. You know, sometimes you got to change it up, right? I know you don't want to do it, but you have to. And he doesn't. He's thick-headed. He doesn't want to change his ways. And there was a reason Brett Brown was an assistant for 14 years and he didn't get a head coaching job. Okay? He's more like the pariah here for the Philadelphia 76ers. And he's gotten as far as this team. He's taken this team as far as he's going to get them. Okay? 50-win team, early exit round out of the playoffs. That is what Brett Brown is. He's taken us as far as it's going to go, okay? That's it. Now we have to find that next coach that's going to take us to the next level, whoever that may be. I don't know who that is, but that is up to the Sixers brass, Elton Brand, Scott Harris, or Joshua Harris, the owners, whoever. But you're done, Brett. You get knocked out with this team early in this round and you're crawling into the playoffs with your fingernails, you're done. This team looks flat. They look dead. They don't look like they don't want to play the rest of the season. They're content. Brett Brown's probably saying, oh, we're good. We got a couple games. We'll eke in. We'll get in by the skin of our teeth, and then we'll go from there. We'll build off of that. It's a 7-game series. We'll be able to beat guys out. Look at the talent on the roster. We'll have a short man rotation. We'll have about a 7-man rotation probably going into the playoffs. And just listening to him speak when he does these press conferences, whether it's pregame or postgame, he just sounds clueless. He's a liability. J.J. Redick is a liability, but you got to have him in there for his offense and his ability. He's our best shooter, and that's why you have to have more shooters on this team. See, Golden State, in my eyes, is really the only team that can rely heavily because they've got the 3 best shooters in the league, for one. They've got a great coach that hides their fact that they don't have a bench whatsoever, and they have a great starting 5. And they can switch it on, off and on, like that, because of the great coach that they have, because of their experience in the playoffs, and that great shooting that they have. I'm sorry to think Brett Brown is having a stroke when he's in his press conferences. Oh, he's sweating hard, and you know, and he even knows that he's on the hot seat. For once, Brett Brown is actually shaking in his Bostonian suit. He's sweating bullets. We're not getting Klay Thompson. I'd love to have him. He would be a perfect fit for this team. But he's not coming over here. He's not coming over the West Coast. We have to heavily rely. We're not getting KD either. Pipe dreams. You gotta sure up Tobias Harris. But remember, guys, if you're old enough to remember this, San Antonio and Greg Popovich, and I like to harp on this as much as possible, they didn't turn into a championship contender, really, until Popovich had the balls, the gall, to turn Manu Ginobili into a bench player. He was great. He could have started in this league for any team, and he should have. But he knew you had to have that punch coming off the bench. Manu wasn't happy with it, but guess what? Doesn't matter. You're the player. I'm the coach. You do what I say. Brett Brown doesn't have the nutsack to do that. He's a bitch. He's a player's coach. He lets these players walk all over him, and they tell him what's what. You know what I mean? So I think he's got to make that move and tell one of these guys, whether it's Jimmy, Tobias, whoever, you come off the bench. What are you going to do in the playoffs? You can't have TJ McConnell taking the backup point guard minutes. He's too much of a defensive liability. I love JJ. He's the heart of this team. He gives you that energy, that little bit of punch off the bench, but his weaknesses outweigh his positives. And that's where a great coach comes in. You have to see all this before it happens. That is what creates and makes a great coach. Brett Brown, I don't think, has that vision. He's a bumbling idiot. And I was a huge Brett Brown fan from day one. But I'm starting to see too much. Too much inabilities from this cat. I'm looking forward to the baseball and football. Yep. I was so hyped after all these trades. Everybody got excited for the basketball season. I have zero confidence this team is going to be able to win a playoff series. This team is going to be a depression. This team is depressing. Makes me want to take a bunch of Zoloft and listen to Nickelback. That's pretty bad. That's how depressing this team makes me feel. Nickelback bad. Nickelback and freaking Zoloft is what this team is driving me to, guys. Christ. Thank God we got the Phillies tomorrow playing the Twins. Jonathan Simmons is trash. He shouldn't even be thought of. I don't know where he's at. They're just happy when they got choke. They're choke artists. I mean, the energy that brought us against that Heat series, it just looks like a completely different team, and it's a lesser team. Looks great on paper. Looks really good on paper, but you don't play on paper. You play in real life on the basketball court, on the hardwood. I don't know what's up with this light in the back here that keeps going off and on, but it's distracting the shit out of me. My team is not even making the playoffs. Who's your team? Legoat. They can't be up by 20 and still lose. Yeah, I know. You don't feel safe. I mean, give credit to the Bucks. They're a phenomenal team. Coached by Budenholzer, who was a mentor of Greg Popovich as well. But you've seen every team he's been to, he's taken them to the next level. He's gotten the best out of his players. Look at that Hawks team that he got 60 wins with and went to the Eastern Conference Finals. That wasn't an elite team, but he was an elite coach and was able to hide their inefficiencies and get the best out of his players. Hustle. That's what Lloyd Pierce did with the Hawks team that he has now. Those guys were playing their asses off for him. You don't see our guys diving on the floor night in and night out. You don't see hustle 24/7 out of us at all, ever. You never see 100% effort out of us because Brett Brown doesn't hold them responsible. You know, TJ's the only one. He's the only one that plays full court press against guy. That's his little niche. He's the little energy bug that comes off the bench. You know? The rest of them, they loaf. Simmons, Embiid, both our star guys had 7 turnovers tonight. Tobias Harris was completely lost. What do you have, 13 points? If you count that bogus trash 3 at the end of the game, that shouldn't even really count. You got to get that guy involved. You gave up a lot to get him. Have him come off the bench. I'm telling you, this would be a game changer if we had Tobias coming off the bench. Huge. No discipline, no desire, exactly. No nothing. They're happy with where they're at. They think they're just going to limp in. They're the 3rd seed. You know, they're not chasing the 2nd seed. It's not beneficial because it looks like they're laying down against those doormat teams that they played over the weekend. Like, why are we going to hustle? These games don't mean anything. Why try hard? Diddy, I hope the best for Corey Brewer. Like Tim, he gave energy too. But those guys are hungry. TJ's hungry. So is Corey Brewer, hungry. Those teams we all played, they're not playing for a playoff spot, but they're playing for to finish the season out. They're hungry. And those teams that are just barely getting into the playoffs right now, not that we were going to face them, you know, Miami or Orlando, they're scary. They give us trouble. Pistons, they're fighting for their playoffs live. They're fighting for that 6th, 7th, or 8th seed. Fighting with Brooklyn as well. So you got Miami, Orlando, Brooklyn, and Detroit, all fighting for the 3 bottom parts of the playoffs right now. 6th, 7th, or 8th seed, and one of them's going to get left out. Miami's in the 9th right now with 2 under 500. And people are like, well, Brett Brown's got back-to-back 50-win seasons. Not yet, but if he does ever get there, well, who cares? You know? Do you get accolades? Do you get banners in the ceiling for accolades? Nah, you get them for chips. And we haven't had one in about 36 years. And after this season, it's going to be 37. Because this team ain't winning anywhere close to winning the championship. It's depressing because we have the talent. We have the 2nd best freaking starting 5 in the NBA next to Golden State. But we can't do anything with it, and we're going to waste it. And I don't want to waste Embiid or Simmons' prime. Embiid's 25. I don't see Embiid playing basketball in the next 7 years. I don't think his body's going to hold up. I really don't. He's Glass Man. He's like Mr. Glass from the M. Night Shyamalan movies. You know what I mean? So I want to get as much out of Joel Embiid, much talent out of Joel Embiid while we can, while he's still young. And that clock is ticking. It's a ticking time bomb, and it's going to expire sooner rather than later. He ain't going to be playing until his late 30s. We'll be lucky if he plays till 32. So you only have a small window to win a championship anyway, as we've all seen. We all know this as basketball fans. I just hope the GM realizes it and we don't give Brett Brown another chance after seeing this and what's going to happen in the playoffs coming up. All right, guys. I've said my piece. There's not much really to say after that. Depressing loss. A lot of changes need to be made. We're going to be put under a microscope. And I hope they're watching. I hope they're listening. But until the coach does or says or makes a move or does absolutely anything, nothing is going to change. Nothing. Hold people accountable. Brett, you are so disappointing. It's like Andy Reid. You get the wins during the regular seasons, but you got no banners hanging up. You got no hardware. Nothing. Nobody cares if you win 60 games during the regular year, but don't have no hardware at the end of it. It's all pointless. Regular season accolades don't matter. Individual accolades do not matter. Championships are what matter. That is why Jordan is always referred to as the GOAT, because he's got them. Well, not the most hardware, because Bill Russell has that, but he's 6-0 in the championship games. You know what I mean? So, put that into perspective. Change your mentality. Do something. Good God. Please. Because you got me listening to Nickelback. And I'm going to end it with that. All right, guys. Kyle Gaffner with the Bitter Birds. I'm out. Don't take too much Zoloft tonight. Pete. Oh, go ahead, Nick. You have a question? Go ahead. I'll answer it before I bounce out. What's your question, brother? Fire away. Come on, bro. Yeah, right? Me for coach. No way. I couldn't handle the pressure. I'd have no hair left. I'd look like Brett. I'd look like I just crawled out from under a bridge. Do you think we would this bad if we had LeBron? I think we'd be worse if we had LeBron. It would be an even bigger train wreck. Appreciate it, Cowboy X Factor. We'd be way worse. He's too much of a control freak for one. You know, you'd have two Ben Simmonses out there where you constantly have to have the ball in his hand. No. No. I was so happy that we didn't get LeBron. So happy. He would have made things 10 times worse. You know, and Ben Simmons is killing us. He's killing our offensive flow. He's great in a fast pace with his ability to push the tempo, but that's not the type of offense we really run. It's a half court, and he doesn't know what to do. He don't work off the ball. Guys just have to clog the paint, and then he's ineffective. Without that jump shot, he is like having 4-on-5 out there. You might as well not even have him suit up. And until he learns how to do that and just stop standing around, I see him standing around so much. It frustrates the shit out of me. No way this team should have lost based on how we are scoring, giving a 46 in the fourth. It's a joke, dude. There's no defense. And what makes it even funnier is Brett is known as a defensive coach. A joke. This team has led up throughout the year 120 points plus, and people want to throw this stat out at me. Well, we're the third best defensive rated team in the NBA. Oh yeah, stats. Who gives a shit? With the accolades again, that team is not a top 5 team in my opinion defensively. They loaf on everything. They don't play any defense. It comes and goes. Yeah, Devin Booker would be dope too on this team, but that ain't gonna happen either. Brett is the problem, and for some reason, some people... Yeah, I don't know. They're, like, obsessed with Brett Brown. You know, it all starts with the coaching. No, that's not the type of defense Brett runs. He will never double-team the best player. He figures he's going to let the best player get their points and then have everybody else beat you. That's his mentality. He spreads them out, and it leaves the lanes wide open, as you know. And you get that one-on-one situation. Giannis back down Ben at least 6 or 7 times. And then if that doesn't work, they do the pick and roll where you're going to pull and beat out, and then somebody's going to go back door. And then it's just this little easy pass behind the back, 2 points. See, when we do it, we penetrate and then kick it out for a 3. And then we brick a lot of the times. Or we'll do a double, or we'll do a dribble handoff to J.J. Redick. Oh, we're first in attendance because everybody gets hyped to watch this team. You know? We bring it every night down here. And that's what makes it even more depressing. I get so stressed and so depressed after they lose. Like, I don't even want to talk to anybody. I'm, like, elbowing people to get out of the stadium. Like, I'm just bitter. I'm miserable. I fit the name of this channel, Bitter Birds, legit. I'm just an asshole after they lose. I don't recover for, like, days. It's sad. I hate it. But I got the Phillies to cheer me up, so all good. Dude, I haven't punched my TV, but I've put tons of holes in my wall at my condo. Tons. I've broken my fingers over losing the sport. Well, not losing, but over watching my teams lose over the years. It's awful. See, man? It's frustrating. I used to throw my controllers when I lose in Madden and stuff. Pissed off. EDP 2.0. Do you think the Phillies will win one, Sue? I think they have a good chance to win one, yeah. With the team they've put together. They still need some pitching, though. And I still think we need one more bullpen piece, but they're pretty close. They're fun to watch. Reminds me of the 08 team, offensively. But I still think they need another starting pitcher. All right, guys, I'm going to head up out of here. I want to blast my radio. My window's down. It's time to rock out. Whatever his name is. All right. Kyle Gaffner with the Bitter Birds. Sixers drop another one. 5 out of 7. We'll be lucky if we maintain this 3rd seed, but I don't know if it's going to happen, guys. Chicago's a pretty good team that we struggle with. Then we got Miami and then Chicago to end the season. Let's hope little Lady Luck's on our side and Boston or the Pacers lose one of these games while we continue to do it. But there's going to be a lot of broken stuff. There's going to be a lot of Nickelback being played tonight. Whiskey and Zoloft. On that note, I'm out.